had to position it when I could get the best light.
Oh, right.
Hello, everyone. This is Sharon Kyle of the LA Progressive, and we're really lucky today to be interviewing a woman I met recently. We were doing an educational forum with a coalition group of partners who are working to bring light to the No Care Court piece of legislation that is currently going through the California legislative system. And Shonique Williams, who is a tremendous activist, a fantastic speaker. After hearing her speak, I asked if she would be so kind as to introduce herself to the LA Progressive audience. So Shonique, tell us a little bit about yourself and No Care Court and Ezekiels Project. Take it away.
Yeah, so much to cover in so little time. So thank you so much, LA Progressive, and all those that are going to be viewing and watching this. For one, I'll start by saying that I was born into this work, identified with my calling at 8 years old. My favorite uncle was sentenced to 81 years to life under the 3 Strikes Law, the 1994 crime bill. So at that time, I made my decision that I was going to get into this work and advocate for change. I thought I was going to be a criminal defense attorney. That was my fight and my plight for many years of going through school, being an adolescent, alongside unfortunate traumatic events that I went through. That was always still a desire of mine. However, based on my wrongful conviction as a domestic violence survivor that called the police for help, I decided that it would be more effective for my voice to advocate for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, and formerly incarcerated, currently incarcerated. So that's how I've spent my past few years of my life. And that is where I'm most passionate about. So when I heard about SB 1338, Care Court, Governor Newsom's bill, it was horrific to me. The fact that anyone believes the way to provide care for someone would be to force them into treatment and to force them into medication and call that care, it makes zero sense. Because if we would actually fund permanent affordable housing, if we would fund mental health support services, if we would fund peer support, we could begin to address these concerns of the unhoused populations, of mental health populations. And so it was very counterproductive, in my point of view, for Governor Newsom or Umberg or Eggman, the authors of the bill, to push forward legislation that's going to bring in $65 million to create a new system that I believe to be the extension of the carceral system, to fund those programs that, this new program, this pilot thing that we don't know is going to work. We do not have, any data, any statistics to support that this is going to be successful. We actually have the opposite. We have data and statistics that support voluntary support services are the most effective. And so I was disheartened, but at the same time, the activist in me, the advocate in me was charged. And I was like, I have to get out here and I have to speak for people that have lived experience with being unhoused, lived experience with mental health, because unfortunately, I've been unhoused before multiple times. The first time I was 15 years old. I am currently diagnosed with mental health disability. The first time I was diagnosed with mental health disability, I was 15 years old, but I was wrongfully diagnosed for over 10 years under bipolar disorder. Later was properly diagnosed with PTSD, with anxiety, panic disorder, among other things, all in relation to the unfortunate traumas I experienced as a child, enduring sexual abuse, child abuse, and things in my home. So I know this is a lot of information to take in, but it's always important to understand the reasons in which, when you see me speaking on other things, of why I keep speaking to my abuse as a child, my sexual abuse, child abuse, because one of the folks that can bring someone in, petition them for care court, is family. And a lot of people unfortunately believe that family always operates in the best interest of the people that they, are family members to. And unfortunately, that is not the case. My sexual abuse was happening by my stepfather. My biological mother was aware of it. My biological mother did nothing to protect me and prevent that harm. She, in fact, would threaten me about speaking to my harm. And so with that being said, as sad as that sounds, I'm not the only one. There's thousands and millions of people throughout the world that go through those same harms and those same traumas. And my mother is now deceased, but I can tell you guys with a certainty, my mother would have placed me in care court if she had the ability to. When I first told a friend at 13 years old about the harm that my stepfather was causing to me, and that friend thankfully told a teacher, CPS got involved in all of those things, my mother did not let me step foot back in her home after that. She came at me as I was wrong. I brought these white people into our business. I brought CPS in and X, Y, and Z, and I was an enemy to her. And with that being said, she started trying to tell CPS that she believed that I was schizophrenic. I am not schizophrenic. I do not have psychosis disorder. That is none of my diagnoses. However, my mother, in an attempt to protect my stepfather, my abuser, her husband, was alluding to Child Protective Services that I had psychotic disorder, that I had schizophrenia. And again, a parent, a family member is one of the people in which can petition somebody for care court. And I know that that is a drastic situation. That is a situation that some people may not want to even open their minds up to believe is a reality, but that is the reality for many people, such as myself. It's the unfortunate reality of the harm that we go through in our home. And some people are not in a comfortable space in which they can speak out to their harms, to where they can speak out to their truths. So I would hate for someone to be in a position such as I was as a child, and for my mother to have the ability to have petitioned me for this court, for this system. And there's so many other problems, but I just definitely want to take the time on today to just expand on that, because I do know that as I've spoken to judiciary hearings and things regarding SB 1338, I have not expounded on the reasons as to why I constantly speak to the sexual abuse, but it is in fact because my mother attempted to reduce the criminal charges being brought against my stepfather for his lewd acts with a minor in other charges he was facing. That was one of the attempts that she used, was in fact her own child, her daughter, what had schizophrenia, which was not true. Right. And so with all of that, that brings me here to just let you all know that SB 1338, while it may have originally been a good idea that people were sitting together trying to come up with how to address houselessness, how to address mental health, I say that very vaguely. I don't think it was good ideas and good intentions, honestly, when they first sat down, but I want to give benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was a good idea, but the right partners were not brought in. Advocates were not brought in. Activists were not brought in. Lived experience individuals were not brought in. You will hear me constantly talking about the need to bring in Black community members, Black activists, Black advocates, because our issues are different. There's a lot of folks out there like me where maybe we want help, but we were raised in a home where we were taught that you don't trust these systems. You don't trust white people. You don't trust CPS. You don't tell the police what's going on. You don't tell social workers what's going on. So you can't just undo that by forcing somebody into treatment and medication. Explain to someone why the things in which they were taught were wrong. Provide resources and tools to give them care, to access of their, and let that be peer-led, because it'd be a whole lot easier for me, being a Black woman, to tell another Black woman why she needs to go into get some kind of treatment and services regarding her mental health versus an old white man. It would just be a lot easier for me to do that. Somebody that's, a former foster child, it would be a lot easier for me to talk to another, foster child, a current foster child, a domestic violence survivor. That's the whole point of peer support services. It's somebody that can identify. And even if they don't have empathy, they have sympathy, and they do understand from that space, they have allyship. So there's so much to cover. We'll definitely leave it to Sharon to share out with her network of folks, my email, my contact information. Everyone is welcome to join No Care Court that wants to stop this bill. You do not have to be a part of an organization or a coalition. You can be a concerned community member throughout the state of California. Would love to bring you on board to just have collective thoughts and ideas. What does this look like if we don't fund this bill? What would it look like to protect Californians and to get housing resources, to get mental health resources? What can we do as a community? Because we take care of ourselves the best. I always believe that community members take care of each other better than others. As it was mentioned, I am the founder of Ezekiels Project.
Yeah. So tell us about Ezekiels Project. So we're going to leave Care Court, and this video is going to be embedded in an article that provides links to some of the coalition members that are engaged in trying to stop Care Court. So
yes,
go on and talk to us about Ezekiels Project.
Ezekiels Project is a beautiful project, but it came from a broken space right in the height of the pandemic in April of 2020. April 21st of 2020, I lost my child. First pregnancy, my first child, my son passed away stillborn. I had just named him the week before, still pregnant. I just decided upon his name. Actually came from the Bible, the Holy Bible, chapter 37 of the book of Ezekiel. And it literally, that chapter of the Bible, whether, based on your religion, that's fine. But, it talks about breathing life into a dead situation, dry bones is literally a few different ways you can interpret that. And building up an army. And it specifically was speaking to, the children of Israel. And this was a vision going down to the prophet Ezekiel. But for me, when God gave me the name for my son, it was important for me to just continue forward with my advocacy, with my work, with my activism, because my mental health definitely was being challenged while I was pregnant, unfortunately. And I did not know that was going to result in a stillborn child at the end of my pregnancy, but my mental health was being challenged. And that was just a way in which, for me, it was very personal and very dear to just remember the work that I'm doing and, all of the lives that I was going to be impacting. So I, named my son after something that was very important and very dear to me. So when he passed, and by past meaning, I delivered him on April 21st of 2020. I knew he passed a few days before that, unfortunately, and I had to, go through that traumatic process. I don't know if people are aware of what it looks like and what you go through to when you have to deliver a stillborn child, because it was brand new to me. I don't know how I thought stillborn childs were delivered, but I had to be induced, and it took me 3 days to deliver him. So I'm very big on angel numbers and all of that, but that's a whole nother conversation. So I birthed my son. I named him Ezekiel, and I didn't know where my life was going to go from there. The pandemic had just took off in March of 2020, as we're all aware. This was April 21st of 2020. And I was struggling. I was struggling with my mental health really bad. And my care providers, I was in therapy and things. They didn't know if I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, regular grief and loss, depression. They didn't know. It was hard, and I had connected very well to my support team, to my, mental health therapist, my OBGYN. So it was a bittersweet thing. It was very difficult. It took time, but I was connected to the proper resources. I was not forced into care. I wanted care. I didn't know what it looked like, but I wanted care and I wanted help. I just didn't know how to get it. So certain things that sometimes I was resistant to, because it just didn't fit me. It didn't make sense for me. I did not want to take medications. I wanted to do holistic approaches like exercise and eating healthy. And so I had to get connected to a team that listened to what I wanted from my body. And so out of that was birthed this beautiful organization, which is an LLC at this time, Ezekiels Project. And I did an official launch for my business on April 21st of 2022 as what would have been the 2-year anniversary, the 2-year birthday of my son. And that was very big and very important to me to do that, because there's so many of us that want help with our mental health, that want to go from a space of simply being and I won't say simply, but going from a space of being a survivor into living a thriving life, right? Because even though I survived domestic violence, sexual assault, and all these different things, I personally do not like being called a survivor of those things, because I feel that puts an identity on me. I'm so much more than that. Unfortunately, I went through these things, but I'm so much more than that. So I like to be viewed as somebody that has not only been resilient, but I have thrived through the unfortunate challenges that I have gone through in life. So I just love the opportunity to pour that out to community members, and whomever is in need of spaces. So please visit the website. You can email me, you can connect with me, get you plugged into the right tools and resources. If I do not have the proper tools and resources in place for you currently, I have a whole bunch of people within my network, and we will get you help. We will get you care, whatever that looks like, whatever treatment you want for you. We don't force no treatment over here. We just encourage and support that treatment. And I constantly, as you view my website, ezekielsproject.com, you're going to constantly see me talk about assisting. I can only assist. I can't force no one into treatment. I can't force no one into care. I can give recommendations, and I can help you with what it looks like for you to live a healthy, thriving life. So looking forward to you guys connecting and plugging with me over there. Again, that's ezekielsproject.com. Sharon has already shared that there's going to be some links provided with this share out. So I'm just thankful to connect with my community. You do not have to be housed in California. You could be anywhere within the US. At this time, I'm not international, but anywhere within the US can get you some tools and some resources to help you live the thriving life that you want to.
Yeah, well, you are such a wonderful example, such an inspiration, Shoni. And just want to remind people that we are pushing the hashtag no care courts. And we want to encourage everyone to visit ezekielsproject.com. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure meeting you and my pleasure hearing your story. I'm so happy that it turned out victorious.
Absolutely.
So this concludes another episode of the LA Progressive, and we hope you all will check back again later. Bye-bye.
Bye.